Eric McGarity uses his gifts as a professional artist to express his experiences with dyslexia. Based in Texas, he often tours the country to share his story of great challenge and even greater perseverance.
When I look at a word, that word doesn't pop into my head as something that has any meaning. To create its meaning, I have to really kind of dig into it and work at the word and sound the letters out. And doing that is a slow and difficult process, and it makes reading a serious challenge. For me, I'm profoundly dyslexic, and I've never been able to read at a fluent level. I can read a little bit, and I certainly can, slowly make my way through a paragraph or a page or something like that. But I've actually never read a book in my entire life because the task would be, it's overwhelming and daunting. After a couple pages, I'm exhausted and I'm really not understanding anything. I'm not getting anything out of the experience.
So, how in the world, when you're a young child and you're 5 years old or 6 years old or 7 years old in school,
Hmm.
how did that play out for you just in your life? If it wasn't, you had this neurological difference,
Right.
so it didn't become automatic, while it did for all the other kids in the classroom. And what was that emotional part for you, and how was it for your parents and your teachers?
Yeah, it was very difficult. I mean, it was extremely difficult. When I was very young, I obviously I was not able to do all these things that the teacher was thinking I should do, and it became so frustrating that I shut down emotionally and academically, and I didn't participate in school really at all. I just kind of withdrew to myself and isolated myself from the experience, and it kind of stunted me in a lot of ways at that time, and it took me years to kind of get over that.
Did you think you were dumb?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I thought I was dumb. I thought that, I just wasn't as smart as the other kids, and they somehow were a lot better than I was, I felt like less of a person than they were, and I felt very different. Even times that I wasn't feeling particularly dumb about something, I felt awkward and different because of this disability. Um, Now, I got to specialized schools in the fourth grade and really started to blossom and come out of my shell. In between fourth and eighth grade is when I kind of came out of that and started realizing that I only had a specific disability, a specific problem in one specific area. And in other areas, I actually had really great talents. I had things that I was really good at. I had academic subjects that I was really good at, and I could really understand and perform well in science, physics and things like that. I really enjoy philosophy, mathematics.
How were you able to
Yeah.
do all that and have all that academic success without being able to read a book?
So accommodations were a key for my success. For me to succeed on the same level, I have to have an accommodation to be able to be on an even playing field. And when you think about it, for me, I have to have all my tests read to me, for instance. If somebody was going to give me a multiple choice test even, I would want that test read out loud to me. Even if I could struggle through and read those words and answer the questions, what would happen is inevitably, I would misread words and not understand the question or the answers correctly and miss an inordinate amount of questions because of that. Um, but if I have it read to me, and I can, and if it's an essay question, if I can respond verbally and dictate the answer, or use some assistive technology that I use right now that I can now type pretty well and use the computer, and the computer can help me write, and I can work with that. So using those accommodations put me on an even playing field, and that way I'm being tested or the student's being tested rather than the disabilities being tested. One of the biggest accommodations that I used was Recording for the Blind and Dyslexic. And they provide audio books that help anybody that has a print disability. And that's a really broad spectrum. That includes, obviously it includes the blind and low vision. It also includes dyslexia, and it also includes learning disabilities like ADD and ADHD, and concentration issues. Because one thing that a lot of kids are doing right now, and getting a lot of great success using recording for the blind and dyslexics, are they're listening, and at the same time they're following along with the book. And by having that double input of being able to read it and hear it at the same time, their comprehension rate is going through the roof. There was a study that showed there was a 38% increase in comprehension rate when that specific technique was used. So that was one of my biggest accommodations that I used, and I continue to use this to this day, just to read for fun. I read every day. Listen.
Did you ever think you would say that?
Yeah, I think so, actually. Pretty early on. I was fortunate that my dad was a really avid reader. He loved science fiction books, is what he loved. And at a very young age, we started reading books together. And he would just read them to me, and I would just listen. And we did that every night. And he really did a great thing, a great service for me there. The first book that we read, that was a real book, not a kid's book, but a real book, I think, was The Hobbit. And then later The Lord of the Rings. And I think he said he read The Hobbit to me 3 times in a row, and I was quite young, a lot younger than the suggested age, for these books. But, The Hobbit's a clean book, but, and I really loved that. And it was good time, to spend with him, too. But it gave me a love of literature early on, and I've always loved books and been passionate about them. And that's the ironic thing, is that I do love books, and I am passionate about literature. And when I see books, I'm excited by them, frankly. I love having them around, even though I can't read them. And it's kind of ironic.
But you found your way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's right.